Hello everyone, today I'm working on this Bachmann GP40 and it's really old. It's from the 70's. I'm gonna pop the shell right away so you can see what generation this is. But this is right around the time of 1976 where they had the bicentennial. So if you have one of these, I'm going to show you today how to fix this. Now, oftentimes they say guaranteed for life, and I'm gonna have to admit this thing stood up pretty well. In fact, it still runs. So I don't know, the people really seem to like these old Bachmann videos, so I'm gonna make this video. I don't really need this engine, but you can see it's still going. Although it does need a really good cleaning, but it's gonna run. So I don't really need this engine. So I'm gonna put this for sale on my website. It's gonna be for sale from March 22 to the 31st at a price of $20 US. And if it doesn't sell, then I'll put it on eBay from March 31st to April 7. So hopefully one of you guys can get it. And then after March 7, well, it's going to be sold. So that's that. I really like this finish here. It's kind of a crumpled effect. Kind of a vinyl top effect. So that is high quality. Reminds me of the finish they had on the 426 Hemi valve covers. So that's kind of cool. So this, they have a really weird setup for this. So it uses wires and the frame to connect the motor. So this side of the trucks contacts the motor directly, and the other side of the trucks contacts the frame. So that's a little bit strange, but it is what it is. So we're going to start the disassembly. I think I can get the trucks off first. I'm still under the weather a little bit, but I still want to play with my trains. So it's not obvious how to take this apart. There's two screws here, but that only takes up the top part of the frame. So I want to get the trucks off first. So we'll just remove these side frames. There's a tab right behind that keeps them in. Although it still runs, these tabs here, they're really hard to push on. So I don't want to wreck anything. But these tabs, they're a lot easier to push on. So I'm going to push on these. It'll probably release the trucks. Yes, once you get the first side out, then you can slide it and get the second side out. So that wasn't too dramatic. Now these are the two plates that contact this one contacts the motor and this one contacts the frame. You can see the layout here. They have little pins. That's not an awesome design, but it works. There's a little, this one's a rivet and this one's a little screw. But I don't need to mess with that in order to get the train going. And then I'll take this one off the exact same way. So here's the advantage of the brass gears. The brass gears, unlike plastic gears, they can't crack, or they don't crack. So that's a definite advantage. And then the other advantage is they are very solid. You know, these were guaranteed for life, so I have to say it's still running, so pretty good. No matter how much you hate or love Bachmann, I'll have to give him that. I'm usually able to get them going. And I guess a lot of people love them because they watch the videos. Even though everybody's going to be mostly agreeing that Bachmanns are not the absolute best, but we love them, and that's that. So I'm gonna remove the second trucks here. The disadvantage of the brass gears is obviously what is this? The disadvantage of the brass gears is obviously that they are noisy. So this engine, it's a pretty good runner, but it's a little bit on the noisy side. So I have no clue what this little plate is or what it does. Maybe it's some dirt that got in there. I have to go under magnification to have a look. Yeah, it's a little bit of tinsel from your Christmas tree. You know those icicles that you put on your Christmas tree? It's a little bit of that. So I'm glad I took this apart. That had no business being there. So these, yeah, they're pretty noisy. So depending on the person, this could be a problem or no. For me, the noise, it doesn't bother me that much because my expectations are realistic, you know. This is a entry-level engine. There's still a lot of them for sale on eBay. If you go on eBay, you'll find a lot of them. And a lot of them are missing the top roof part. This is a dead giveaway for that generation of diesels. The roofs come out. And many brands have this issue. I don't think it's even worth trying to get a roof for this. So I'll pop the trucks off, the side frames. Turns out it's easier on the coupler side. It's a little bit more flexible to do that. Now you gotta really keep track of what is where and which way on these. If you put these tabs, if you put them in backward, you can create a short circuit. So let's just have a look at the first one here. Look at that, they got a little extra brake detail. If you look at the side frames of an EMD, well, they have the brakes here. They have brakes here and they have extra detail so it gets right up in there. Come on, focus. They get right up in there, up close against the wheel, so that's kind of neat. So that, when you're working on these, you gotta keep track of that. Yeah, these will just fall out. You need to help them a little bit, but they'll just fall out. Oh boy, the plastic is hard. So that is okay, take your time. Oh, there's your little contact pins. That's your extra brake detail. Remove that. Then we'll remove the other side. So these are just held in place by the side frames. And they ride on that little pin. That little pin is pretty important. It serves as the axle for this big gear. So this big gear, it's actually geared pretty fast. So as you can see, this side is connected to the frame side. And then this side is connected to the motor side. You do not want to change that because you will create a short circuit. So very important that you keep track of that. So this has a lot of metal in it. So these will just pull up. And the same with the rear one. But you want to take your time because the plastic is not as malleable as it once was. And then this little plate can fall out, but this one does not have so much direction. It's really these that you have to be careful about. So I guess I could leave that all there, really. there's not that many reason to remove that. But of course, while I'm cleaning the side frames and the gearbox, these will just fall out naturally, but keep track in your mind of where they go. And then you've got one side that's the coupler side, and one side that goes towards the motor. Then this little gear is attached to the axle. Remove the axle and the little gear just falls out. So when you remove the gear, that makes it easy to clean. So what I'm gonna do next, I'm just gonna clean my wheels. I always do it using my rag. It's good to have the video so you can go back and see which way everything's oriented. So I clean the wheels with my rag. This has a little bit of wear on it, which is good because the engine has to be at least 40 years old. So I hope somebody's been using it for all that time. I'll probably spend another bunch of time in storage because it's not in that bad a shape. Look at that. Look at how black that gets. That is disgusting. And of course the grease is everything's hard in there. So then everything gets washed with my toothbrush and some dish soap. Little soap and water sure makes a big difference. So I'm getting ready to put everything back together. And you usually start with this little pin. Do you remember, pop quiz, do you remember the way this little pin goes? Does it go that way or that way? I'll give you a minute to think of your answer. In fact, if you remember when we took everything apart, it goes this way. So that's important to keep track of this because it will make a difference. If you put it the other way, it's going to create a short circuit. And then after this part go the wheels. I put in these first wheels there just to help me hold down. These are also interchangeable, there's no direction. But you know, this little engine picks up electricity from every wheel. I don't hate it. They have some good ideas in there. But the way it ends up is a little strange. So you put these, make sure you put the little contacts behind, and then the wheels will just snap into place. There's still enough slack to get it in behind there. So far so good. And then the little extra brake parts come in. But before you put the extra brake detail parts, you have to put these silver contact plates. These go in on the top. There's a little slit here. So very strange how they made this engine. It's just very unorthodox, but it does have all-wheel pickup and all-wheel drive, so it's not all that bad. I don't really hate it. You have to make sure to get that little contact behind that silver plate. So that takes however time it takes. You have to do it right, or else it's not going to run right. But once you get it, it will be good. So basically, if you have 3 hands, it's super easy, barely an inconvenience. Then the little brake extra detail part comes in and holds everything down. The silver plates, the contact strips, and it's an extra detail part, so that does a lot actually. See, it's got 2 little tabs that will hold down the silver plate. Like I said, if you have 3 hands, then it becomes super easy. And that, as they say, is that. Should we put, oh, I forgot to put lubrication on this. I don't think it needs that much. I did not remove any of the old lubrication, so I don't think it's going to need that much, but since I have it in my hands, may as well put just a little. So we'll put a drop on this shaft. That should be plenty. And then we'll put a drop under here on each axle. And that should be plenty. And you can check it with your fingers. Like I said before, the advantage of the brass gears is they will never ever crack. But they're going to be a little bit noisier. And then this, the side frames come in. So it just goes in this big tooth there. Goes into this big tooth and should click in the front as well. This plastic is getting hard over time, so I'm taking more of my time over this. Have to. Yeah, and then this will just snap in. We can check it again. But that is really neat. Then compare it to this one. It should be pretty much the same, except the way the contact pins are angled should be the opposite, because I need this wheel, this side, to contact the front, and this side to contact the back, because these two are one side of the track and these two are one side of the track. So if you put your trucks like that, you're okay. It'll just run backwards when you're going forwards, and vice versa. Whereas if you put the little contact strip in here backwards, then you create a short circuit. I'm going to do the exact same process on this side. Just clean everything. I took a minute to wash the shell. That's going to dry off while I finish working on the frame there. So these, they're notorious for losing the top there. I'm not going to hunt it down. I don't think that makes a big difference. I'm going to take the thumbnail that way. Not as objectionable. So now I've got to wash the frame. There is a screw here, so I'm going to start by removing that. Now that separates the top from the bottom, but you have to be careful because everything's wired in. So you have to be nice and gentle with that. And the motor should come out at this point. But I'm not gonna force it. Not gonna force it. Anyways, I can let you have a look at what's in there. So I'm just gonna wipe this down as best as I can with actually maybe I can get the worm gears out, because I want to get in there and wash them. As far as washing the frame goes, I'm going to be real careful with my toothbrush and some dish soap, but I'm not going to disassemble the whole thing. That part of it seems to work very well. Yeah, if you push very gently on the worm gears, you can get them out. So I'll be cleaning them before I put them back. Then on the worm gear, you only need one drop, and then that's good. I don't foresee this engine having trouble with that, but since I have it apart, may as well. So that goes back like that. Then to lubricate the motor, you can hardly get in there. but I'm gonna give it a try nevertheless. So that's gonna be that. Then I'll try and clean the frame as best as I can. Now I'm getting ready to put everything back together. I'm going to also the electrical path here. You can see the front and the rear. So that I'm getting ready to test everything on the bench, and then I'll go test everything on the track. So that seems to run really good. It's a little bit noisy though. It's an old model railroad magazine from 1972, and as you can see, they advertise the lifetime warranty in big bold letters. So I think that's gonna be my thumbnail for this video. Honestly, I can't say I'd had to do a lot to fix this. I just had to clean it. It was running when I started. So depending whether you can stomach all the noise, from the point of view of longevity, I have to say it's a pretty good engine. Now for the moment of truth. And the light bulbs still work too. So that's really neat. And then the other direction. So I'm gonna run it at mainline speed so you can have a little bit of shakedown. But it runs okay. I have another one from that generation. It makes about the same amount of noise. So you guys have to decide what it means to you. If that's too much, you don't have to add sound to this one. It makes its own sound, and it's very likely sounds a little bit like traction motors. So that could be realistic and fun too. So I'm really satisfied with the way it runs. So all I gotta do is put the shell back on, and then we'll be ready to have some fun. So that should go on nice and easy. And now it's time to run some trains. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. I certainly had fun making it for you. See you soon.